All right, we've got some breaking news that we want to get to. This is out of Virginia. Possible criminal charges being weighed right now against New York Attorney General Letitia James. Joining us now, MSNBC senior investigative correspondent Carol Leonnig. Carol, this is your reporting. Walk us through what you know, how you know it.
You know, this bouncing ball has been bouncing so fast and furiously in the last few hours that, forgive me if I'm a little breathless, Katie. We are hearing from multiple sources now, my colleague Ken Dilanian and I, that Lindsay Halligan is pushing forward to seek a grand jury to indict Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, who is on Donald Trump's enemies list, quote unquote. We are told that presentations were made to a grand jury today. And as, you know, nerdy court watchers like me know, and you do too, Katie, the grand jury's decision is expected within the hour or within less than 2 hours, at least. They usually come back in the afternoon with their choices and decisions. So what we're reporting again, and what's the most important thing for people to know, is that the U.S. attorney that Donald Trump appointed just weeks ago has presented and provided evidence to a grand jury today on charges related to mortgage fraud against and allegations against Letitia James.
Carol, why is it being filed in the Eastern District of Virginia? She's the New York Attorney General.
Yeah, these allegations circle around a home that Letitia James' niece purchased and refinanced, and Letitia James was helping her with that financing. And in a box on a power of attorney form that we all probably have to turn in from time to time when buying a home, it remarked that this was a primary residence. In other documentation, Letitia James made clear that this was not her residence, not her primary residence, and literally wrote in an email to her bank and her broker, "This is not my primary residence." So the claim here has got serious issues, but Donald Trump has been pressing and pressuring this Eastern District of Virginia office to indict and prosecute Letitia James over this home, which is located in Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay, Lisa, the fraud at issue, that she said it was her primary residence or checked a box on a piece of documentation, but then also was pretty explicit in other documentation and in an email, as Carol just mentioned, that it was not her primary residence. Does that make up for checking the box?
One would think that the later paperwork would negate any inference of intent to deceive, which is critical to any fraud allegation that you could bring under federal law. I also want to say, Katie, that the manner of the document that Carol is talking about, this power of attorney document, what probably happened here, and I have to refresh my recollection by looking at the paperwork, is power of attorney is something that you sign when you can't physically be present at, for example, the closing of a real estate transaction, that you give somebody else your power of attorney to sign for you. In all likelihood, this form was not prepared by Letitia James, but rather by somebody affiliated with her niece who was helping her with the financing of the home. Letitia James then checking off the box in this power of attorney, but later making it clear this is not her primary residence. The reason, though, that this is what some people would consider fraud on the bank or the lender is because if you consider something your primary residence, you qualify usually for more favorable loan terms. It can also be the basis for an exemption under tax law. And certain states, if you say you're buying your first residence for the first time in that state, those are state-based tax exemptions as well.
I'm going to put up Donald Trump's Truth Social, where he's telling Pam Bondi that certain people should be charged. Letitia James is one of them. He says they're all guilty as hell, but nothing is going to be done. Then he mentions Lindsay Halligan, who after this was appointed to the district. She is a really good lawyer, he says, and likes you a lot. We can't delay any longer, you being Pam Bondi. So does she have the same, Letitia James have the same argument that James Comey has about selective prosecution?
I think she does, and I don't think it's limited to just this tweet. You know, one of the things that good lawyers are starting to do is compile all the social media statements and all of the public statements on Fox News, on Newsmax, otherwise, of not only Donald Trump, but other people in his orbit that are in a position to influence law enforcement decisions like this, to be able to say, this is not a decision that's on the level. And so I do think that Tish James, if she is indicted, will be able to make a motion to dismiss based on selective and vindictive prosecution. And of course, her dispute with him is slightly different than Jim Comey's, right? Jim Comey is Donald Trump's enemy because he authorized the initiation of an investigation that Donald Trump has called a hoax. In Letitia James's case, she didn't just authorize an investigation. She prosecuted a civil fraud case against him that for a long period of time, more than a year, resulted in a multi-million-dollar penalty against him that was building interest until recently vacated by the First Department of New York's Intermediate Appellate Court. So his beef with her is very serious, and that would, I think, play into a court's understanding of what it is that is motivating the vindictiveness here.
So Josh Dawsey in the Wall Street Journal is reporting that that social media post was accidental, that it was intended to be a direct message to Pam Bondi. He's reporting this according to officials that are telling him through sourcing. Does that matter if he's sending her a direct message saying this? Does that make it worse or better than saying it publicly, or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter, because I think what really matters in a vindictive prosecution situation where you're defending against a prosecution on that basis is, can you show that the person has animus against you that is different, that sets your prosecution apart, essentially? Is that person motivated not by a desire to do right under the law, but by their own vindictiveness, their animus toward you? And whether or not he meant it as a private communication to Pam Bondi or he wanted the whole world to see it, it's revelatory of that animus toward Tish James and the fact that he had, you know, what some might call a bee in his bonnet for her, right?
Yeah. So I wonder, I mean, if this case is not one that is strong, and it sounds like there are holes in it, much like there are holes, Carol, in the James Comey case, is the intention here, as Ed Martin suggested, just to tie up these people that Donald Trump doesn't like, that they believe that have somehow wronged Donald Trump, in legal drama, to hurt their reputation, to cost them a lot of time, potentially cost them a lot of money?
I'm so sorry, Katie. There were multiple calls coming in, and I didn't hear the first part of your sentence. I apologize.
So I'll repeat it. Is this, if it's not a prosecution that is going to make it all the way through a court and a trial and land in a conviction, maybe it's not even something that will make it to trial, is the ultimate goal here to hurt someone's reputation, to tie them up in legal paperwork, legal drama, to cost them a lot of money?
Katie, such a great question. I'm glad you did me the service of asking it again. We can't be inside Donald Trump's mind. We can't be inside Lindsay Halligan's mind. We can read what they say and what they do. And what we saw the other day with former FBI Director James Comey is the Eastern District of Virginia is not salivating to bring this case and to take Comey to trial. They were running and gunning to charge him and did so in an indictment that is extremely sparing and short and appears to have some factual errors in it. So there was a rush to indict and not so much a rush to go to trial with one of the best defense lawyers in the country. And so I think we can infer a little bit that the goal of Donald Trump's here, as he has said in different ways, and I'm basing this on what he has said, is that he wants these people to be punished. They're guilty as hell, and he wants them to pay. In this case, pay for actually coming after him.
I'm going to put up the True Social post one more time. He mentions Letitia James, who we're reporting now is potentially going to get charged. He mentions James Comey, Adam Schiff as well. Should we expect charges coming for Adam Schiff because he's one of the people named in this social media post, Carol?
I don't want to get ahead of our reporting, Katie, but I would say stay tuned to MSNBC.
I like that tease. Paul, we were talking about a moment ago the Pentagon and the desire to to crush dissent or maybe contrary thinking or voices. This is another attempt to intimidate people, I think you could argue, into not accusing, making accusations, whistleblowing, maybe not criticizing the president of the United States. Letitia James investigated him and got a conviction, or not a conviction, a judgment against him for fraud. James Comey, we all know the relationship the two of them had. And then you have Adam Schiff, who was one of the main members of the January 6th panel that was investigating him and what happened after that, not to mention the other impeachment hearing as well. Is this an attempt, could you argue, to say, hey, listen, don't come after me too hard, because if you do, I'll find a way to come after you?
Absolutely. He's coming after his enemies. He's named them. He's given you an order. He's taken roughly 10 months to get the pieces in place at Justice, FBI, and across the government. And now he's going one by one. And I would add people like General Milley to that list. He said he wants to come after General Milley. He said things like court-martial in the past. So I would expect anybody on Trump's enemies list to get the same kind of treatment. It's a chilling effect across all institutions of our government, but most importantly to the American people, because he's sending a message. If I can come after Comey, I can come after Letitia James, I can come after General Milley, I can come after you too.
Gosh. All right. Paul Rakoff, Lisa Rubin, Carol Leonnig. Thank you guys.